Hi, my name is Alicia, and I'm here to present to you U.S. Treasury yield report that the yield we taken from is from year 2023 to year 2024. So here, these are the issues that we are discussing today. So first one is what is U.S. Treasury yield, and why short-term rate is higher than long-term rates, and what are the key factors that is influencing the Treasury yield. And the last question will be, what is recession and will recession happens? So what is US Treasury yield? So US Treasury yield, US stand for United States, is the effective annual interest rate that representing US government securities with a given maturity. And US Treasury yield is often being used as a benchmark by investors to evaluate the market conditions. So interest rates the website as a whole the US website as always has a daily interest rate. So all the interest rates can in a month could actually make up to a yield curve. So yield curve is a line that helps investors to predict the economic growth of the market based on different maturity dates. So by looking at the US Treasury yield, investors will be able to know how much they earn from buying US government bonds, and this interest rate could influence one decision to pay on loans to buy large spending, which is real estate, vehicles, and equipment. So higher yields on long-term US Treasuries will imply confidence investors will have on the economic outlook, but this could also cause inflation to rise. So next, we will discuss why short-term rates is higher than long-term rates. So below is the graph that is extracted from the US Daily Treasury website. And this is made up of 3 months and 4 months short-term rates, 3-year and 10-year being the long-term rates. So as you can see that the orange stand for 4 months and the dark blue stand for 3 months. So 3 months and 4 months doesn't have any huge fluctuations. They are equally similar. And but as you can look at 10-year and 3-year, 10-year being the light blue one, and green being the 3-year. So as you can see that 3-year being the short term compared to 10-year is actually higher than the 10-year rates. So why? So it's because that Federal Reserve has announced increase of interest rates on July 2023 to help combat inflation. But by December 2024, Federal Reserve has actually reduced interest rates slowly about a full percentage. So being Federal Reserve goal is to reduce inflation rate to 2%. And based on actual statistics, the inflation rate has gone to 2.4%. So next, what are the key factors that's influencing the Treasury yield? So there's 3 key factors, which is Federal Reserve monetary policy, and the second will be US debt ceiling crisis, and third will be collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. So Federal Reserve monetary policy is the one that we had actually discussed earlier. They actually raised the short-term interest rates to curb high inflation rates, because inflation rate has went up to about 9% on 2023. So that's the reason why Federal Reserve has to increase the short-term rates, to hoping that the inflation rate could go down and US citizens able to spend more money, because high inflation rates will mean that they'll need to spend more on food, the basic needs. daily basic needs. So yeah. So next, US debt ceiling. So debt ceiling can be known as debt limit, which is the maximum amount of money United States can borrow to meet its existing legal obligations. So what are the advantages of placing a debt ceiling could be efficient? Is because it helps the US Treasury Department to issue bonds without Congress approval each time and could use the funds to fund important social programs such as Social Security and Medicare. So the disadvantage of debt ceiling is because debt ceiling is not an enforced policy and it can be easily raised once the debt ceiling has reached. So frequent raising of debt limit could also cause US to increase its cost of debt and lowers the country credit rating. So throughout the time, debt ceiling limit has always been increased multiple times due to US reaching the debt limit every time. So once again, the crisis was resolved by suspending the debt limit to January 2025, along with a cap on federal spending and restrictions on some poverty assistance programs. So the third event will be the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. Silicon Valley Bank had announced shutdown of its operations on March 2023 by California Department of Financial Protection since the global financial crisis in 2008. So the reason why Silicon Valley Bank has gone bankrupt is because that due to US Federal Reserve Bank has increased the short-term rates and it resulted Silicon Valley Bank bonds become riskier and when the bonds decline in value. When the bonds become riskier, it will mean that the investors will lose money, so they will eventually want to withdraw from it. So the aftermath of this Silicon Valley Bank is because of withdrawals that has gone up to about 42 billion and had taken place that resulted the bankruptcy of the bank. So Silicon Valley Bank doesn't have enough cash to actually return the money to the depositors. So it resulted that they couldn't pay, so they had gone bankrupt. So will recession happen? So unemployment rate has declined since COVID-19 when the employment population ratio increased to 60.1% as reference to this website. So with companies constant hiring and layoffs keeping at a minimum percentage and consumers continue to spend money, happening of recession could be delayed longer. It's because that when more people is employed, so they were able to spend money and help the economy to grow. So while US dollar is still a dominant global currency and is being used globally, the economy will still continue to grow since US dollar is needed almost everywhere nowadays. So conclusion would be the steep hike in short-term interest rate was to curb high inflation rate and also to encourage consumer spending. Recession could be delayed longer if the employment rate remains healthy and consumer spending continues could encourage economic growth. So recession could or could not happen. Thank you for listening.